All right, let's bring in our next guest, the fearless Rav reporter, the border correspondent who says the World Cup stadium in Mexico, get this, has safety concerns as 456 bags of human remains have been found. I didn't make that number up. 456 bags of human remains have been found at the stadium. Always happy to have Oscar Ramirez with us. Oscar, before we get into the human remains story, which is blowing my mind right now, let's talk about the people of Mexico who held a protest of the Morena party on November 15th. You were here, you were there, you brought it to us before and after. The president, Sheinbaum, counteracted this protest by hiring 500,000 people to hold her own rally just 2 days ago. Tell us about that, will you?
Eric, good evening. Yes, they held a so-called rally as an anniversary for the 7 years of the political party, but it was a counter, to counter what happened on the 15th of November. Actually, they spent more than 200 million pesos, Eric. That is speculated. That is a lot of money to bring people from all across the country into this rally that she held just to say, we are invincible. We have a lot of power. We have the best of the support from the country, where her numbers have been critically dropping from 71% of approval. It has dropped to 41%. Even the former president just came out, President Andrés Manuel López Obrador, who was her teacher, to come out and to say, you know what, she needs all the support. She's the best president in the world. That's what he said. And she's the best representative of Mexico possibly in history. So it is a matter of desperation of what the government of Mexico is doing. Why? Because the exacerbated violence, the exacerbated cartel activity, and insecurity that has been rampant, and that the Mexican people are sick and tired of it. And it has shown in the past weeks as violence has increased in all parts of the country, Eric.
Oscar, 200 million pesos translates to, by my math, $11 million. That's the Mexican people's money, or they did it through donations?
No, that's out of the Mexican taxpayer.
Wow.
And that is a slight number that has just come out of experts and journalists which they are speculating, and that is the first amount. There are some of them, they're saying 400 million pesos has doubled as what she spent on this particular meeting, bringing governors from all parts of the country, bringing mayors from all parts of the country into this meeting just to say to the Mexican people, as she said after the protests on the 15th of November, she said that she was invincible and that the approval rate was a lie, that she dropped from 71% to 41%, Eric.
So this other story, Oscar, 2026 FIFA World Cup in Mexico will be played at Akron Stadium in Guadalajara. Oscar, investigators have found 456 bags of human remains around the stadium. Tell us, what is this all about?
Yes, the only network who has been covering this, and it is on your show, Eric, we have been covering the human remains, the mass graves, and just outside, steps away from Akron Stadium that is in Guadalajara, Jalisco, it is going to be, the host of one of Mexico's World Cup matches. And collective groups and body searcher groups have found from the AMLO administration until now 456 bags of human remains. The fiscal of the state of Guadalajara and also authorities are trying to create this smokescreen so nobody can put attention to this factor. So FIFA will not cancel, the World Cup in Mexico. This is an absolute disgrace. It is something that is completely inhuman, and it just steps away, Eric, from the Akron Stadium. It's going to be hosting not only just Mexico's, international match, but also other international matches, which is one of the things that is extremely critical. The missing people, the mass graves, the multiple thousands of mass graves who have been found all across the country. And it is just months away from the World Cup, Eric. So it is a thing that is, it's just a horrifying story that it just came out. And it came out from the searcher groups that have been telling the press they're trying to hide this from the country of Mexico and from the world.
Were they, Oscar, hiding it? I mean, it doesn't strike me as a great place to hide 456 bags of human remains in a soccer stadium that's probably holding more than 100,000 people. You have a lot of traffic there. I think you're going to find some of this. So how did they find it?
Well, there's a place where there's nothing. It's like an empty parking lot. And behind that, there's a lot of land. And that is where specifically they're talking about a lot of things, Eric. They're talking about that possibly the soccer team is doing some, sacrifice rituals, to this factor. Also that, the potentiality of the CJNG cartel that has owned a lot of the land and has owned a lot of the businesses. Well, they're using that land to basically dispose and to disappear, bodies. And when you're talking about 456 bags, you're talking about that some of these bodies bodies were found decomposed. Some of them were found, skeletons. Some of them were found, basically dismembered. And some of them, still were found, fresh. So it is something that the authorities of Mexico and also the Sheinbaum administration is trying to not let nobody know. Ultimately, they don't want the United States authorities to know this because, the United States is going to be a World Cup holder and a host for this current event that is coming on June, Eric.
Yeah, Oscar, so Trump meets with Sheinbaum last week, right? A couple of days ago. And what did they talk about? Is there any we were looking, we couldn't figure out exactly what they were talking about. Was it just about World Cup and the Olympics, or what? Did they not address any things like 456 bags of human remains found around a soccer stadium?
This is one of the things that I'm clearly, concerned of the advisors of Trump not letting him know actually the critical situation which is happening in Mexico, and clearly somebody is advising Trump, completely different story of what actually is happening in Mexico, because the person that is having these international talks with Trump is not letting him know of the actual, difficult situation which we are going through. There's speculated talks that it was about the MEC, the international treaty, which Trump is already said that it needs some reestablishment and needs some renewal between Canada and Mexico and the United States. It started from scratch and started from the bottom. That was one of the talks that they were sitting down, and then there's a viral video where he is joking around with the Mexican president and trying to be friendly with her. But other than that, international treaty, but also what is going on with the terrorist organizations and the cartels, which we don't know what kind of agreements they're going on behind closed doors, but certainly, Mexico's being pushed to the wall as they being exposed by all these dirty politicians that they already canceled their visa, more than 50 already, Eric, in Mexico.
So Mexico's with the U.S.'s largest trading partner. We buy a lot of oil from Mexico. We have a lot of automobile trading going back and forth, parts and assembled automobiles or so. So I get Trump has to play a game with her, being our largest trading partner, and tariffs are a huge issue. But the human rights violations that are going on in Mexico never seem to come up, Oscar.
And it's not only just this situation also, Eric, it is that the violation of agriculture, the farmers, that they are still protesting in several parts of the country of Mexico, the people that they're being replaced by the organized crime and the cartel in parts of Michoacan, in parts in Guerrero, in parts in Guadalajara, and in northern parts of the borders. That is extremely concerning for the United States of America, that a lot of people, the cartel has under the Biden administration, they gain a lot of territory and a lot of power with technology and artillery. So it is a major concern of what the Trump administration is going to do now. Now, also another thing that is concerning, it is the actual support of Claudia Sheinbaum to dictator of Venezuela, Nicolas Maduro, that actually, the Trump administration is trying to push into Venezuela to have, eliminate and eradicate the cartels that they're trafficking tons of fentanyl to international waters. Let's see how this response is going to be by the Trump administration and how he's going to move further into attack the international, terrorist organizations as cartels in Mexico.
Well, the good news, New York Times is on board, calling Sheinbaum among the most stylish people of 2025. I mean, the things you've uncovered, Oscar, and then you juxtapose that with the liberals on the left saying, oh, she's amazing. And then now, for whatever reason, Trump didn't bring that stuff up. Oscar, before we let you go, a lot of people, when I tell them you're coming on the show, they want to know, how are you doing? How are you doing personally?
We're doing okay. We're trying to succeed and trying to keep in shape, informing and doing it quite, in a way, Eric, that it doesn't involve completely our safety. So we're trying to be as secure as possible, but we need to do this. We need to continue to expose, as a lot of colleagues and journalists in Mexico were risking their lives. And ultimately, this administration wants to keep our mouth shut and wants to shut down the opposition or the opposition media who's not agreeing with what they're doing. So we're trying to do the best that we can, Eric, to continue and ultimately for the American people to inform them what is actually going on from Central America all the way down. Well,
you are a purveyor of information for us, Oscar, and we appreciate that very much. Real America's Voice is very lucky to have you on the border, keeping eyes on things and reporting. But please keep yourself safe, my friend.
Thank you so much, Eric. It's always an honor to be with you.
Okay, folks. We'll be back 2.5 minutes.